Today's video is a discussion about the problems mangakas have in ending their story in the best possible way. Now, to illustrate this with an example, let's look at the most popular TV show of the last decade, Game of Thrones. It had perhaps one of the most hype surrounding it than perhaps any other series, but unfortunately most only remember it for its awful ending. The GOT series shifted from the books in its last few seasons, and the writing aspect of it clearly showed. This was the same case when the Full Metal Alchemist anime came out in 2003 and had to change its trajectory as the author had not finished writing it at that time. We can clearly see the difference in writing quality of the same show, one that followed the author's path and the other had to be improvised. Now, it clearly shows that the author should definitely be in charge of their own stories. But is this a simple task in the manga industry? The answer to that question is that it isn't so much. If we look at the grueling schedule of Shonen Jump, the authors have to churn up chapters on week-by-week base. This can be a daunting task and surely does affect the quality of the story. As we have seen that popular mangas like Bleach and The Promised Neverland had a rushed ending because the authors were under pressure to wrap up the stories and work on week-to-week basis. Now this problem is becoming more and more evident with shonen series, as we see that the mangaka of My Hero Academia has expressed exhaustion multiple times and Black Clover has moved out of Shonen Jump. We have also seen the popular series Hunter x Hunter go into hiatus, as its mangaka Togashi also is dealing with health issues. This just shows us that it may not be sustainable for mangakas to work on such a tight schedule. We have had examples of good endings, and one such example is of Gintama, as its author moved out of Shonen Jump in its last few chapters as he needed more time to get his ending right. This isn't just a shonen problem, as we see masterpieces like Berserk and Vagabond still not been completed and probably will never reach an ending, as the author of Berserk, Kento Miura, tragically passed away and the author of Vagabond has not written a new chapter since 2015. We have seen by such examples that as stories get more complex and more layered, it is necessary for the author to take good care of their health and come up with new creative ideas to end the series. People still are visibly upset by the ending of Attack on Titan, but then again, that was a mangaka that ended the story on his own terms and perhaps didn't have many constraints as the previously mentioned examples. So, what is your take that how should authors or mangakas end their stories? Should they just come up with anything that makes sense in the time being, or perhaps not even finish their works as it becomes increasingly hard to find a good resolution? The most sound advice would be that authors should be in charge of their own works and should not be forced to end their works against their will. The writer or author has the right to end the stories on their own terms. And perhaps rather than writing an ending that ruins the work on a whole, it is better for that story to not get finished.